Bitten by Love Vampire Series by Christina Hart. Narrated by AI. Preface. The genesis of this story lies in the intoxicating blend of shadow and light, a dance between the ancient and the modern. It's a tale born from late-night musings on the enduring power of love, loyalty, and the irresistible pull of the forbidden. I've always been fascinated by the allure of the paranormal, the way it can twist familiar realities and amplify our deepest emotions. Lilith and Aden's story, therefore, became an exploration of that very duality, the clash between ancient forces and contemporary life, the delicate balance between darkness and light, and the unwavering resilience of love in the face of unimaginable adversity. This book is a journey, not just for the characters, but for the reader as well. It's a journey into the heart of darkness, into the depths of human emotion, and into the exhilarating power of transformation. My hope is that through their trials and tribulations, Lilith and Aden's tale will resonate with the passion and intensity that defines the young adult experience. The narrative was crafted to capture the fast-paced energy of modern life while delving into the timeless themes of self-discovery and the complex dynamics of romance. The urban landscapes of New York City and the ancient mystique of Belarus provide contrasting backdrops for this epic saga, reflecting the duality inherent in the characters themselves. The intricate plot twists, the high-stakes conflicts, and the passionate romance at its core, I hope, will leave the reader breathless until the very end. Introduction. Enter a world where the sun kisses the skin of a centuries-old vampire, where fire dances at the command of a young woman who defies her ancient heritage, and where the line between the human and the supernatural blurs into a captivating romance. This is the story of Lilith, a vampire unlike any other, a creature of darkness who walks in sunlight, a being of immense power who embraces the modern world while grappling with her immortal past. Her encounter with Aden, an 18-year-old college student brimming with youthful energy and an insatiable curiosity, ignites a passion that transcends time and the boundaries of their vastly different worlds. Their whirlwind romance is a heady blend of attraction, intrigue, and undeniable chemistry, a testament to the power of love to bridge the chasm between mortal and immortal. But their idyllic romance is threatened by a far greater darkness. Lilith's secret life as a vampire, the emergence of envious and dangerous rivals, and the looming presence of Lucian, Lilith's powerful and vengeful father, the very first vampire. Their love story unfolds against a backdrop of intense action, breathtaking supernatural abilities, and a thrilling race against time. Get ready for a journey that takes you from the vibrant streets of New York City to the ancient mysteries of Belarus, a journey filled with twists, turns, and heart-stopping moments that will leave you breathless. Prepare for a tale of love, loss, self-discovery, and the enduring power of the human spirit to overcome even the most formidable odds. Prepare to meet Lilith and Aden, a couple whose destinies are entwined, whose love is fiercely tested, and whose journey will forever redefine what it means to be both alive and undead. Lilith's New York City life. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee and cinnamon hung heavy in the air, a comforting scent that did little to soothe the centuries-old restlessness churning within Lilith. She sat perched on a worn velvet armchair in a trendy Greenwich Village cafe, the low hum of conversation a distant murmur against the rhythmic thump of her own ancient heart. Sunlight streamed through the large, arched windows, warming her skin, a sensation that would have been unthinkable to most of her kind. Lilith, a creature of the night, a vampire descended from Lucian the First, walked in sunlight. This was no mere trickery or illusion. It was a gift, a curse, a part of her unique legacy. Her appearance was deceptively ordinary. Long, raven hair, styled in loose waves, cascaded over her shoulders, framing a face that held the ageless beauty of a classical statue. She wore simple yet stylish clothing, a vintage band t-shirt layered under a worn leather jacket, skinny jeans and worn Doc Martens, a deliberate rebellion against the somber elegance expected of a creature of her age. This was her chosen disguise, her carefully constructed human facade, a shield against the unwanted attention that her true nature invariably attracted. But beneath the surface, the centuries of experience she carried, the memories of wars fought, empires risen and fallen, pulsed like a hidden fire. New York City, a sprawling metropolis teeming with millions, was her chosen sanctuary. The anonymity of the crowd, the constant movement, the cacophony of sounds, it was a perfect camouflage. She thrived in the city's energy, its chaotic rhythm mirroring the tempestuous nature of her own existence. The city was a canvas, a stage upon which she played out her life, a blend of ancient darkness and modern defiance. She spent hours wandering its labyrinthine streets, exploring hidden alleyways, discovering forgotten corners, each a new potential scene in the vast, ever-shifting drama of her life. Her apartment, a loft in Tribeca with breathtaking views of the Hudson River, was a testament to her duality. Elegant antiques, relics of past lives, were juxtaposed against modern art, stark, minimalist pieces that contrasted with the fiery, chaotic landscapes she painted. Her art was an outlet, a visceral expression of the inner turmoil she so carefully concealed behind her carefully constructed persona. The paintings were explosions of color and movement, swirling flames and dark shadows dancing against a backdrop of brooding skies. Each stroke of the brush was a release, a purging of the ancient darkness that lay buried within her. These fiery scenes mirrored her emotional state, a powerful blend of anger, pain, and a burning desire for something more. Something that she couldn't quite name, yet felt it burning inside of her soul. Lilith's mornings were a ritual. She would wake before sunrise, not to avoid the light, but to greet it, a quiet defiance, a small act of rebellion against her heritage. She would often find herself sipping black coffee, staring at the city from her loft window. The rising sun cast long, dramatic shadows across the skyscrapers, painting the skyline in hues of gold and orange. A breathtaking sight that always renewed her spirits. After a simple breakfast, she would venture out, often into the city's many hidden art galleries. She would spend hours studying the work of other artists, quietly observing the way they expressed themselves, their unique perspective on life and death. It was an education that she never truly abandoned, never ceased to learn. Her afternoons were dedicated to her art, a process both cathartic and demanding. The raw power she wielded, the ability to command fire, wasn't just a supernatural trait, it was a part of her very being. The same fire that flowed through her veins found expression on the canvas, transforming it into a living, breathing testament to her internal struggles. This was her sanctuary, where she could unleash her emotions without fear of judgment. Evenings found her in the city's vibrant nightlife, a stark contrast to the solitary nature of her painting. She frequented hidden bars, clandestine clubs, and exclusive art openings, always maintaining a cautious vigilance. The world of the supernatural was a dangerous place, even in the seemingly mundane metropolis of New York. She kept a watchful eye for any anomaly, any flicker of the unnatural, a faint scent of decay, a sudden chill in the air, a shadow moving too quickly in the periphery. Lilith was a predator, a protector, a survivor, always alert, always aware of the dangers lurking just beneath the surface of the ordinary. Her existence was a delicate balance, a constant negotiation between her ancient nature and her modern desires. She craved the anonymity of the city, the freedom to express herself without fear, yet she remained ever conscious of the potential threats that surrounded her. She walked a tightrope between two worlds, the ancient and the modern, the human and the supernatural, a constant, exhilarating, and precarious dance. And yet, despite the dangers and the anxieties, she wouldn't have it any other way. This was her life, a tapestry woven from the threads of darkness and light, of rebellion and restraint. This was Lilith's New York City, a city that pulsed with energy, a city that mirrored her own complex and volatile soul, a city where she was both safe and utterly exposed. It was, in many ways, the only home she'd known for centuries, the only home she'd ever truly wanted. Aden's first glimpse. The air hung thick with the scent of rain and stale beer, a pungent cocktail that clung to the crumbling brick walls of the alleyway. Graffiti, a riot of color and angst, covered every surface, a testament to the city's hidden underbelly. Lilith, hidden in the shadows, leaned against a damp brick wall, her brushstrokes swift and sure, transforming the decaying brick into a canvas of fiery chaos. She was lost in her work, the rhythmic scraping of the brush against the rough surface, a hypnotic counterpoint to the distant city symphony. She rarely painted in public, preferring the solitude of her studio, but the raw energy of this forgotten space, the palpable sense of anonymity, had drawn her in. Suddenly, a shadow fell across her canvas, interrupting the flow of her creation. Lilith paused, her hand hovering over the brush, her senses instantly on high alert. She didn't need to turn to know someone was there. The subtle shift in the air, the faintest alteration in the ambient energy, was enough. She had honed her senses over centuries, transforming them into weapons of survival. Slowly, deliberately she turned, her eyes adjusting to the dim light. Standing before her was a young man, barely more than a boy, with a shock of unruly brown hair that tumbled over his forehead and eyes the color of warm honey. He looked utterly out of place, a splash of vibrant youth in the gritty monochrome of the alleyway. He was wearing a faded band t-shirt, worn jeans, and sneakers, his attire as casual and unexpected as his sudden appearance. His expression was a mixture of awe and apprehension, his gaze fixed on her canvas with a mixture of fascination and hesitant admiration. "Wow," he breathed, the word barely a whisper. His voice was young, raw, still carrying the echoes of adolescence. This is incredible." Lilith remained silent, her gaze unwavering, studying him with the same intensity he applied to her art. There was something about him, something beyond his youthful charm, that intrigued her. He possessed a certain aura, an almost imperceptible energy field that resonated with a subtle discordance. It wasn't unpleasant, just unusual. It felt strangely familiar, though she couldn't place it. He took a tentative step closer, his eyes moving from the painting to her face, lingering on her features with a curious intensity. His gaze was innocent, unburdened by the cynicism that she had learned to expect from the world. She found herself strangely drawn to his openness, his unadulterated curiosity. I'm Aden," he said, extending a hand. It was a gesture both bold and hesitant, as if he were unsure of his welcome, yet driven by an irresistible impulse to connect. Lilith considered his outstretched hand for a moment, a flicker of amusement playing on her lips. She had seen countless faces, felt countless hands over the centuries. Yet, Aiden's touch felt different, oddly familiar. It held a spark of something that echoed the chaotic energy within her own being. She reached out, her fingers brushing against his, a spark of energy passing between them, as subtle as a whisper. It was an unexpected jolt, a subtle surge of power that startled them both. Aiden's breath hitched, a look of sheer amazement crossed his face. "I'm Lilith," she replied, her voice as smooth as polished obsidian. Her tone was neutral, almost emotionless, a carefully crafted mask to hide the surprising flutter in her own chest. This reaction, this unusual response to his touch, was unsettling. Centuries of emotional detachment had not prepared her for this. Aiden's eyes widened. "Lilith?" he repeated, the name echoing in the confines of the alleyway. It was a name he felt he had heard before, a whisper on the wind, a shadow in the corner of his eye. He couldn't quite grasp why, but this name, this woman, resonated deeply within his soul. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Lilith," he added, still surprised by the power that had jolted between them. He could almost taste the raw energy, the potent energy that seemed to emanate from every pore of her being. "Your painting is, well, it's like nothing I've ever seen before." He pointed to the canvas, the brushstrokes depicting swirling flames, the hues as vivid as a supernova. Lilith nodded curtly, her gaze fixed on him, studying the nuances of his reaction. His genuine fascination, unclouded by fear or suspicion, was strangely captivating. Most people reacted to her with either fear or a certain aloofness, a detachment that often served as a protective mechanism. But Aiden's reaction was different. His fascination was undeniable, unfiltered, and completely unexpected. "I'm a history student," Aden continued, sensing an opening to further the conversation. He felt oddly compelled to get to know this fascinating woman. "I'm particularly interested in ancient mythology and folklore." Lilith's eyebrow arched slightly, a barely perceptible movement. His admission piqued her interest. Mythology and folklore were close to her heart, a realm she inhabited far more intimately than he could ever imagine. "Indeed?" Her voice was low, yet commanding. There was a hint of something more lurking beneath her words, a veiled warning, a subtle threat, as if she could sense his curiosity delving into dangerous territory. She sensed a raw, untamed energy within him, a wild, untamed spirit that resonated with her own ancient nature. Aden, oblivious to the underlying tension, launched into an enthusiastic account of his latest research, a treatise on forgotten Slavic legends. He spoke with passion, his eyes shining with the fire of his convictions. He talked of mythical creatures, forgotten gods, and ancient rituals, his words flowing freely as if sharing a secret longing to unravel the mysteries of the past. Lilith listened, her initial aloofness gradually melting away, replaced by a grudging fascination. Aden's unbridled enthusiasm was infectious, his genuine passion for history a stark contrast to the cold, calculating machinations she had encountered in her centuries-long existence. He was a breath of fresh air, an unexpected encounter that broke through the carefully constructed walls she had built around her heart. As Aden recounted tales of ancient battles and forgotten deities, Lilith found herself captivated. His words sparked memories of her own past, echoes of a life lived in the shadows, a legacy woven from blood and fire. She found herself strangely drawn to his youthful naivete, his utter lack of awareness of the dangers that lurked beneath the surface of their seemingly casual encounter. He reminded her of a time long ago, a time before the weight of centuries had settled upon her soul, a time when she too possessed that same innocent wonder, the same burning curiosity about the world. But as Aden continued to talk, Lilith began to notice something odd, something subtle. His descriptions of certain Slavic legends mirrored her own history, facts and details that should have been lost to time, unknown to anyone save herself. It was as though he was drawing from a wellspring of knowledge that was both intimate and somehow impossible. A chilling realization began to take root in her ancient mind. Aden wasn't merely fascinated by history. He was somehow connected to it, inexplicably intertwined with her own complex and dangerous legacy. This chance encounter in a grimy alleyway was no accident. It was the beginning of a journey far more perilous than either of them could have ever imagined. The city lights blurred around them, lost in the sudden escalation of their encounter. The very air seemed to hum with an unseen power, anticipating the unfolding events and their fates inextricably bound. Stay tuned for Chapter 2, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like the video.